Hello, fans, and welcome. It's finally here, the inaugural season for the Utah Hockey Club, and the Two Line Pass podcast will be there with you for every game. I'm Randon, and alongside my co-hosts, Dustin and Ryan, we will bring you inside the team, giving you the latest news, highlights, and an in-depth analysis on everything about the Utah Hockey Club. Welcome to another episode of the Two Line Pass. Well, hello, fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Two Line Pass podcast. I'm here with Dustin. It's just Dustin and I today. Ryan is out on location. He's going to the preseason game. He's actually not, and I'm not sure why I just lied to you there, but he's on very important podcast business. So we're only going to razz him a little bit for not being here. But I am here with Dustin. We've got a great episode for you tonight. Dustin, how are you feeling? Are you ready for this?
I'm feeling ready. I'm feeling good today. I know we've addressed this before, but I did get the official rejection email from my application for the public PA announcer. But I did get that form email saying, "Oh, we've filled the position with another candidate, but thanks for your interest and we'll be posting other positions in the future." So I officially did not get that job. I mean, it's fairly obvious when they're already cranking out preseason games, but it is officially official that I did not get that job. So it was a little blow, a little sting, but I'm gonna bounce back because honestly, I'd rather be here talking with you, talking hockey with you, and informing and educating our fans and the Utah HC fans rather than just sitting in some booth giving you miraculous and awesome calls of goals in the Delta Center. So we're okay.
Listen, my condolences to you because I think you would have been fantastic as the PA guy, but I'm happy that we didn't lose you because I can't pay you what you would probably make as the PA guy. So I'll keep you as long as I can, bring in the heat to the fans here, and then they will slowly but surely. The team will see what you're bringing to the table, and they will realize the error of their ways, and they will come a call, and it's going to happen.
Yeah. I'm either getting the job in the future, or I'm getting a very nice apology edible arrangement. Is that the fruits that they carve into flowers? Yeah, that's what we're getting.
Yep, I've bought well, let me rephrase that. I've contributed to the purchasing of multiple edible arrangements. I have not received an edible arrangement myself. Have you?
I haven't, but my wife has, and they're very overrated. Like they're pre-cut, and so they go bad really quickly. And if you get a big one, it's got like almost a full pineapple's worth of like pineapple flowers. There's cantaloupe and honeydew. There's just way too much to eat for like one sitting. So I think it's a little. It doesn't make sense to give as a gift to one person. That's sort of like a hey, we're having a banquet for the company party this weekend. We're gonna have an edible arrangement. Grab yourself a pineapple flower out of the bouquet. So don't feel too sad. It likely would have been not great, and a lot of it would have gone to waste.
Well, thank you. Thank you for easing my mind. And for those of you out there listening, don't gift Dustin or I an edible arrangement. You can gift us any number of things, but not that. But let's get into it, Dustin. We are 1 week away. 1 week away from Puck Drop opening night, Tuesday, October 8th. And we wanted today in this episode, we wanted to give you, so we know a lot of you are diehard fans. You've been fans of minor league teams. You've been fans of hockey. But a lot of you, because you have had no professional, elite, non-minor league option, you maybe haven't paid attention to the NHL as much as you would have if you did have that option, and now you do. Now you do have that option. So Dustin and I today are going to catch you up to speed on all the things you missed in terms of what the game of hockey is. So this is basically a hockey 101, break down some of the common rules, some of the things you're going to see when you're in the stands, when you're watching on TV, when you're watching on your SEG Plus subscription, whatever you're doing, we're going to give you the the foundational knowledge of the game itself so that you can follow along and be prepared. And from Dustin and myself, like, we had to go through that. You know, you have to go through that sometimes and watch it. And we didn't have these amazing podcasts to give us the blueprint. We had to just fumble along and learn ourselves. But thankfully, you don't have to fumble in the dark. You've got us, and we're going to hold your hand through this. Now, what we're going to do is Dustin and I are going to go through some of our the biggest things, right? The things you've really got to know, the things that are going to be impactful, that aren't maybe as obvious of what they are. You know, like if you say, "Oh, he hooked somebody," you can kind of get the idea of what a hook is just by the word. But maybe you can't get that if you know what icing is. You know, icing itself doesn't necessarily describe it. So we're going to break that down, and then we're going to go over a few etiquette rules. So things, if you've never seen a professional hockey game in person, things you might need to know about how to watch and be a better fan, you know, for you and those around you. Some other sporting events may have similar rules, but hockey has its own. We're very serious about our hockey etiquette. Dustin, are you ready to drop the knowledge on some rules and some etiquette?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Perfect. Well,
So I
Dustin, you are going to take it away with icing. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's really what I wanted to touch on first and foremost, because that's the when we started recording this podcast, we were right smack dab in the middle of the Stanley Cup playoffs. And there were a lot of people that I saw on Twitter who are, "Ooh, okay, I'm going to start paying attention to hockey. Ooh, I'm in Utah. Now we have an NHL team. Maybe I want to start taking it a little more seriously." And the one thing that I saw continuously is, what is icing? Why did they call it here instead of there? And why, if the goalie touched it, why is it not icing versus it is icing? And so when you understand what it is, it's a really simple concept. It's a really thing to recognize and understand, especially like once you know, like most goalies raise up their own stick, which is what the referees will do to signal that it's icing. But like the goalie will do it himself. You're like, okay, even if you don't have a full grasp of what icing is, that'll give you an idea of like, okay, that's going to be icing. So what icing is when a player shoots the puck from their side of the red center line and it passes over the blue line into the opposing team's red goal line. So if you imagine the hockey rink, there is a red line at center ice, and then there's one at the net. Um, if it crosses over both of those without being touched, it's icing. Now, there are times where like the goalie will stop it from crossing the red line to prevent icing if he sees like his team in an advantageous situation, or maybe he catches the other team in like a line change or something like that. He might stop it and clear the puck back the opposite way. But the other time it's not called is if the team that cleared the puck down to the opposite side of the ice, if they're on a penalty kill. So when you're killing a penalty, when your opposing team is on the power play, you're allowed to ice the puck. Just flick it out of your zone all the way down to the other end of the ice. Get it out of your zone, out of your attacking zone, line change, whatever you got to do. You can ice the puck if you're on the penalty kill. But basically, really simple. And I probably ran on too much to make it a little confusing. But basically, if it crosses the center red line and then the goal red line without being touched, it's icing. Pretty simple. But I did see a lot of confusion from fans not knowing why, and especially on the penalty kill situation. I saw a lot of people asking, like, "Well, that went over both red lines. Why is that not icing?" So fairly easy once you understand it.
And now the modern game now today's is no touch icing, and that was not always the case. It was a safety precaution put in, but it used to be back in the day that the other team, if the team who shot it, who would ice the puck, touched it first behind that red line, the icing was waved off. And now you're not going to see that. Now it's no
Yeah,
touch icing, right?
yeah. You used to see Like if a team cleared the puck and it went both ways, you used to see players like actively racing to the puck where the team that cleared the puck is trying to get it to prevent the icing call. You used to see that. You don't see it anymore. And like you said, it's a safety thing. I would imagine a lot of people wound up crashing into boards, just going full speed into the glass and into the boards trying to get to that puck first. But yeah, you used to see that, but not anymore.
Well, that is an excellent breakdown of icing, and I think icing is probably the one thing that probably confuses fans the most in terms of it's the probably I'd actually think 100% it's the thing that stops the play most. So when the play stops, because hockey is an otherwise very fast, not a lot of stops type game, and icing is the thing that's going to stop the game most often. And so when you're not quite sure of what icing is, you're going to always want, well, why did they stop playing? Like, I don't understand why they stopped playing. Well, because they iced the puck. And it's quite simple when you think about it, why that rule is in existence. It's so one team can't score one goal and then play the entire game just sending it back the length of the ice, right? And making the other team come down, right? So it makes it much more competitive, much more exciting. It's a very simple in concept idea, but it might take you a few times seeing it and understanding that there are circumstances where it's not always icing. Dustin, what an excellent breakdown of that. Now, I want to talk about a few things too that you'll see, and specifically that it's not always intuitive as to why these things are happening. And the three things I want to talk about are: how do face-offs work, how does the line changes work, and how does offsides work. And face-offs, I think, is one of those things for a new fan. You're going to see things that it's not quite clear why these things are happening. If you've had a chance to watch some of the preseason, a couple of things you may have noticed: that the linesman, who is the referee who's dropping the puck to start the play, doesn't always drop the puck immediately. He may talk to the players and he may wait, but he's not always just dropping it immediately. And so you're wondering, well, why? Why isn't he just dropping the puck? Both players are there. Just drop the puck. Well, there's specific things that have to happen on the face-off. So both players have to, both in this case centers, as they call it, not always the position center, but the two center positions that are going to be taking the face-off have to come into the face-off zone, and they have to be about a stick length apart, and each of them have to be facing the opponent's side. So you can't take a face-off turned or any type of movement. You have to be straight on to your opponent's end, face to face, straight on. Both sticks have to be placed on the ice. Both blades have to be touching the ice. And you have some gamesmanship going on. The away team, the visiting team, their blade has to touch down first, and then the home team. But once both sticks drop, the puck drops. Now, what happens is you'll try to see momentum gathered for face-offs and things. So there's a little bit of gamesmanship about how to time it. So you touch the ice, puck drops, and then you immediately lift your stick to try to pull the puck back, or however the case may be. And there's going to be times where the centers aren't going to be in line, and that linesman's not going to drop the puck. And then also imagine yourself in the linesman, that sheer power that you must feel with the game and the ability to start and stop the game at your command. It must be a very thrilling, powerful feeling. And so there are probably some linesmen who take it to the extreme and really delay it. And we'll get to the etiquette part, because there are things you can yell at that time. If that official is not dropping the puck, it's not always the player's fault. It's the official. He's just being a jerk. Um, but you may also see, okay, so the official isn't dropping the puck, and now he just kicked that guy out. That guy was going to take the face off, and now he made another guy come in. Well, there's certain rules that he has to follow. So when the linesman declares that the face off is ready, each player has 5 seconds to get there. And if they take longer and the other player is set, the official can drop the puck. It almost never happens. But if they take too long and they're meandering around, boom, they can get the boot, and another player has to come in. If a player refuses to put his stick on the ice or plays too much of a game of chicken of putting his stick on, he can get kicked out. If he gets too close to the face-off circle, he's gone. And if he makes physical contact with the opponent, believe it or not, gone. He's out. And then, of course, the face-off can be restarted if the wingers get too close to the face-off circle. If the wingers are jawing at each other and fighting, that can delay the face-off. Even if it's happened, you can redo it. So you're going to see that a lot throughout the season. You're going to see the linesman not dropping the puck immediately. You're going to see people kicked out of the face-off circle, and you're going to see face-offs happen again. And now you'll know a little bit more about why those are happening. The next thing I want to talk about is offside. Offside is a very simple concept, right? If you if your body, your offensive player's body is past the blue line, and now remember it's separated. Goal, blue line, center ice, blue line, goal, right? Those two blue lines. If your offensive player is all the way in front of the blue line before the puck crosses the blue line from another player or himself, that's offside. One key thing to note about offside now, it's different a few years ago, is the player's skate does not have to be on the ice touching the blue line, and the entire skate and body has to break the entire plane, the far side blue line. If even a fraction of this is on, the player is onside, and you will see this time and time again throughout the season. It's one of the biggest coaches' challenging an offside. You will inevitably see a play stopped, and the game stopped to review an offside. And what they're looking for is to see if the player's entire body and skate is over that plane. If any part of it, even if it's elevated in the air, is over that, then the offside can be waved off or non-existent. Same thing, it can be called. If it wasn't called initially and a goal is scored, offside can be reviewed and the goal can be overturned. You'll see that as well, both for and against Utah inevitably. So just keep in mind, if you didn't know that, it's that blue line and the puck has to enter the zone before the rest of the body has to enter the zone.
And I'll add one thing to that. You'll see it more often during like when you're on the power play. But if you have your puck in your attacking zone and all of your players are on that side of the blue line, and the puck leaves the zone, it crosses back over the blue line. The puck can't come back in until all of the skaters get back to the other side of the blue line. So you'll see that if you're new to this, you'll see like when you're on the power play, the defending team will kind of clear it out, even if it just barely goes past the blue line. The attacking team will kind of back it off a little bit, and everybody will come back and regather because it will still be offsides if it crosses the blue line and then comes back into the attacking zone without every one of your skaters back across that blue line. So it still applies as offsides, even if you got it across the blue line while onsides.
That is correct. And think if for those basketball fans, maybe you played some street ball or basketball in your home court. Think about you get a rebound and you got to go check it to half court. Kind of the same concept. And you'll see, just like Dustin talked about, the goalie raising his arm and a linesman raising his arm for offside or for icing. The same thing happens for they call it a delayed offside, right? Where they're waiting for the players to get back and the offensive team can't touch the puck until that goes down. Otherwise, at any point during the official having his arm up near the blue line, that's going to be called offside. So excellent point, Dustin. Excellent point. And the last thing I want to talk about is line changes, because this is something you might hear the announcers talk about. You might hear your radio guys talk about in terms of the advantages of the home team and the away team. When play is not live, right? When there's a whistle and the play has stopped, each team has the ability to initiate a line change. However, when the play is stopped, the visiting team has to make their line change first, and then the home team has the ability to respond to that. So think like for the you Utah fans, your University of Utah football fans, think of how many times you've seen the offensive Utah's on defense. The offense makes a substitution, and then Utah trots out a player substitution. Right, it happens all the time. It's very very key thing for Utah's defensive scheme. Same kind of thing in hockey. Right, visiting team has to go first, just like that offensive team, and then the defense or the home team gets a chance to match that substitution. They don't always have to, but they do get the chance to match. And then once they've made that match, the away team and visiting team can't switch again, right? That's the line change that happens. So that's a key thing to notice on and one of the big advantages of being home, because it's hockey is a matchups game, right? And you want the line you want against the line they have. And that's the chess match of a coach trying to get that. And during the whistles, that's a way to get it. Now, once the play goes, those line changes are fluid, right? They're on the fly. If you've seen the Mighty Ducks, right? Those changes occur rapidly, quickly, and there is no necessarily the visiting team, home team goes. It's just whenever you can make a line change, you make a line change as long as you're not too many men on the ice. So those are my three big ones that I want you guys to know, that they're not necessarily intuitive in terms of it may take a few games, maybe even the whole season before you truly feel like you understand those. But we've hopefully given you a foundation. Now, if you've never seen a hockey game, maybe this is the first time that you're experiencing it, and you want to know about the penalties. You have no idea why a guy got sent to the box. 2 minutes he's got to sit there most of the time. Well, there's a few things that are called for penalties, and Dustin and I are going to break them down. First, I want to break down the timings of it. The most common by far is a minor penalty. That's generally 2 minutes, right? You go into the penalty box for 2 minutes. It's a power play for the other team. A double minor, generally assessed when you draw blood via penalty. Now that's a 4 minute. It's a 4 minute. Okay. There's also a major, that's 5 minutes. 5 minutes, and the rules change where during that 5 minute major, the team on the power play can score as many times, and that guy's got to serve all 5 minutes no matter what. With the other penalties, if the team that has the player advantage scores, that guy gets to come out of the box. You've seen that our penalty kill in the preseason. It's been okay, but you've seen a couple of power play goals for them. You've also seen us score a couple of power play goals. But in a major penalty, doesn't happen. That guy's got to sit all five. Now, a match penalty, this is very rare, but a match penalty is similar to a 5 minute major, but it also comes with immediate disqualification from the game. So, like a game misconduct and the 5 minutes. So, another player's got to serve your 5 minutes. You're gone from the game. And this is different from a standard game misconduct, because with a standard game misconduct, you don't always go on the power play or penalty kill with it. But with a match penalty, you do. It's a 5 minute major and a game misconduct. It's called a match. So now let's break down what those penalties are. Dustin, he's going to go over some of the minor penalties, some of the physical body checking style penalties. Hockey's a physical game, but you can't go crazy. Some of those hits are going to land you 2 minutes in the penalty box. Dustin wants you to break it down for us what those penalties are.
So I'll just go straight from the horse's mouth. I'll go mostly a lot of these definitions. They won't be word for word because I don't want to just toss a bunch of like legalese sounding stuff to you, but just straight from the NHL rule book. One that I didn't get when I first got into hockey was boarding, because like you see players get checked into the glass all the time. Like you see a player going for the puck, and somebody comes up and checks them into the glass, and then every once in a while I'm like, okay, he just checked him, but they called boarding. Like what is the difference of what's going on? Like, so crash it. So the legalese definition is a boarding penalty will be imposed on a player who checks or pushes a defenseless opponent in such a manner that it causes the opponent to hit or impact the boards violently. The boards are the little wall below the glass. So like if a defense, if there's a player like who's gone down to a knee and they're in the corner and they're defenseless, and somebody comes up crashing into them from behind and smashes them into that bottom boarding part of the wall, that's boarding. Like that confused the heck out of me when I first got into hockey. Is like he just checked it. Like I've seen that same thing happen 20 times this game. But there is a difference between like a player who's defenseless and getting smashed into the boards as opposed to a player who's upright and ready and can defend himself. It's a lot like the targeting rule in college football, where like it's the rule is a little bit different when a player is ruled defenseless. But that's boarding. That can be a minor or a major penalty depending on the ref's discretion. If they go really hard, like if there's a player just down on his knees, like holding his head like he just took a stick to the face, and you come crashing him and smash his face into the board, they can assess a major penalty for that. But usually it's a minor 2 minute penalty. Next is charging. If you follow the NBA, this one's pretty simple to understand. Like if you just skate recklessly into another skater and just with the intent of taking them out, that's charging. It's just like the NBA. It's fairly easy to understand. One you don't see called too often, but I'll go over it just because it's in the rule book. Is checking from behind, which is again self-explanatory. You're just checking a player who's not aware that you're coming from behind. So the next one is clipping, which is taking a dive in front of a player at their knees to take them out. That's clipping. That's another penalty that you would understand if you play or watch football. They have the same type, like a chop block penalty type thing. Elbowing, that's self-explanatory. Like throw an elbow into somebody's face, you're going to get a penalty for elbowing. Fighting again is obvious. If you're gonna watch, if you plan on watching the Utah Hockey Club, Big Tuna is going to get called for this one a few times. If you're a fan of the early 2000s song Superman by Five for Fighting, that's where their name comes from. It's a 5-minute penalty for fighting, hence Five for Fighting. And I believe that covers all of the physical infractions. Um, so yeah, I think the rest, like hooking and cross checking, I think Randon is about to go over those ones because those are stick infractions.
Yep, those are some. We got some restraining infractions, stick infractions. Now, most of these are basically what they imply they are, right? So, 2 minutes for holding. That's pretty self-explanatory, right? You can't impede a guy by holding his jersey, holding his body, or stopping him from moving. Also, holding the stick, which is a little different, specifically where you grab a guy's stick. Um, the next one is hooking. That is where you take the stick and you hook the person with the stick. It doesn't always have to be a hook. A lot of times you can just kind of you just kind of impede the guy. You don't have to necessarily pull the guy. You just have to impede him with the blade of the stick. Then you have
Now,
interference. Yes, Dustin.
in hooking, this is one of my favorites because every once in a while, especially if you're watching a broadcast on TV, they show the referee like making the call just like they do in football. And there is one referee in particular, and I cannot remember his name, but he gets really into some of those calls. But hooking is a good one because it's just like a they reach out and just kind of pull their hands back, and like there's a few of those refs that get really into making that signal. So that's a fun one to watch. But that's a sidebar.
You will at the end of the season you will be pros about what how you'll know what the penalty is before the ref calls it, but even if his mic is turned off you'll see what he's saying, interference, you're hooking, you're boarding, you'll see and you'll know what to see. Just watch. They all have very distinct actions, and like Dustin said, some are more animated than others, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch what we get out of the officials here in Utah, and because it'll likely be reoccurring officials. You won't see a different official for every single game. You'll get to know these officials. You'll get to know their habits, what how they call things, and but that's something that's a very nuanced part of the game, and you hope across the board they're being consistent. But we all know officiating is anything but consistent. But they try. They try. Uh, so after you got your hook, you've got your interference. The big thing to notice with interference is it's the key thing is you're impeding a player who doesn't have the puck, right? If a player has possession of the puck, you can hit him, you can stop him. You own the ice you're standing on. So if he's skating into you, think of it like a charge in basketball. You're entitled to that ice as much as he is, so you can stop and you can knock him on his butt, right? But if he doesn't have the puck, he's moving to the puck or trying to make a play on the puck and he's not in possession, and you impede him, even if you're standing your ground, that's when the interference comes into play. When the player doesn't have possession of the puck. Now, tripping, that's pretty self explanatory. If you use your stick, foot, anything to take the other guy's legs out, a lot of tripping can sometimes seem not intentional. It doesn't matter with a penalty. One of the things you'll hear is players and announcers and stuff will say, you always have to be in control of your stick, right? Even if you didn't mean to trip the guy, you lost control of your stick. And so you're at risk of that penalty. It occurs with a lot of the stick infractions too, right? Intent doesn't matter. It's the outcome of the play. Tripping, you take a guy's feet out, 2 minutes. Butt ending, you don't see this very often, as you might expect, but that's when you take the end of the stick, right, and you give the guy a little jab jab. Can't give the guy a little jab jab with the end of that stick. That's going to get you a butt ending. Then you're going to get cross checking. This is probably next to interference, the one of the most called. Right, that's when you have your stick is in between your hands. You have a distinct separation, and you cross check the guy, usually in their back, and knock them down. A lot of the hits, if your gloves are together on the stick, a lot of that is going to be a legal hit. It's when you use your stick to make contact with the player, not just your gloves. That's your cross check. Then you got your high sticking, right? Same thing with tripping. You've got to be in control of your stick. If it gets away from you and that stick catches up high, that's going to be high sticking. Whether you intended on it or not, you'll see a lot of times, I would say probably 20 to 30% of high sticking, the player just lost control of their stick. And, unfortunate, but that's going to land you 2 minutes in the box. Um, you've got your slashing penalty. That's when you use the stick to whack somebody. Sometimes if you whack the guy's legs, and he falls down, then the official can pick, what does he want to do? Does he want 2 minutes for tripping? Does he want 2 minutes for slashing? It's his choice. But slashing a lot of times happens on the stick. You can't take your stick to hit the other guy's stick. And then spearing is also when you use the either side of the stick to jab it into somebody. Just remember, guys, no jab jab with the stick in any way. No jab jab on this end, no jab jab on that end. It's going to get you 2 minutes. And those are the restraining and the stick infractions. Everything else is in the other category. Dustin, do you want to go over some of the others?
So just real quickly, I'm really glad we went over that section because butt ending. I thought that was what happened when I was a kid and I didn't get my chores done for the week. Like I thought that like my dad's just gonna end my ass, like just that. I thought it was butt ending, and then spearing. Like I thought that was just Goldberg style, just leaving your feet and just tackle it, just Goldberg or Roman Reigns if you're into the wrestling these days as opposed to the glory years. But that's what my mind thought when I picture spearing. So I'm glad we went over that section. The other ones are pretty simple. delaying the game, which is like doing anything that delays the game. If you take the puck and intentionally like shoot it over the glass to get it out of play, like you're going to get called for delaying the game. And let's see, diving and embellishment, like that's obvious. That's exactly what Gordon Bombay was trying to teach his Mighty Ducks to do. Take the dive, get indignant, but that's a penalty. So don't take the dive. Stand your ground and don't embellish any of the contact that you get. If somebody's stick touches and grazes your knee and you go flying down the ice and slip sliding around like you're Dylan Brooks playing basketball for the Oregon Ducks, you're going to get called for a penalty there. And then the rest of them are like equipment based penalties, which I mean is just keeping your equipment within rules, like goalies keeping your pads and knee pads and gloves all within regulation. That's stuff that you're not going to see called very often, if any, if at all, throughout a season, like across the entire NHL. Because those are treated a bit like NASCAR's. After races, they go through inspections, and so do some of the equipment for goalies. So they keep it all in check and in line within the rules. So yeah, that's the end of that rule book, as we'll
Hmm.
say.
There is one more that we bring up because it was caused a lot of drama in the playoffs specifically, and that is goaltender interference, and that is going to be an evolving rule. So we're going to watch how it kind of plays, but in general, you cannot interfere with the goalie and keep that goalie from making a play towards the puck, right? So if the puck's on one side and you stand here, even if you don't do anything, and you keep him from the goalie from moving from one side of the goal to the other, that's going to be goaltender interference. If you make any intentional contact with him, that's going to be goaltender interference. What you're going to see the discrepancies come to is, was the defending player pushed and initiated the contact? Was the goalie, in fact, kept from making a play? All those are going to be subjective, and we're going to see throughout the season how those get called. But one thing I do want to see outside of goalie is maybe only a handful of fans are going to get to see this. And you see it a lot in the minor leagues, tempers flaring. But a coach that just throws the sticks and the gloves on the ice, he gets so mad. He just throws everything on the ice to express his displeasure with the officiating crew. I hope to see that because it's always fun and it always psychs up the home crowd, as long as it's the home crowd doing it. But then it also psychs the crowd up if it's the away team, because you've gotten under their skin for one way or another. So it's going to be exciting, and I hope you guys have enjoyed the rule book. Now let's talk about what can you expect when you're in the fan. What are some of the rules of etiquette? Maybe it's your first hockey game. Maybe it's your first crowded hockey game. Some things to watch for. I'm going to let Dustin to break down a few of his, and I have a few of mine, and we have some that we disagree on, and we're going to talk about those as well. So Dustin, why don't you break down a few of the etiquette, the rules of the game when you're a fan, what to do and what not to do.
So the biggest one when it comes to watching hockey live in person, if you get a ticket to the game this year and you're going to the Delta Center and you're going to watch your first hockey game ever, do not go to your seats while the puck is in play. You see this a lot during like basketball games, football games, where you're sitting and you're in the game and you're locked in, you're watching the action, and then some guy with two tubs of popcorn under each arm and two drinks is asking to nudge in front of you and going butts to noses trying to get to his seat. Don't do that during a hockey game. This is a very fast paced game, and the puck is moving very quickly all around the ice. And if you miss something, like it takes a minute, or it'll take a second or two to like, where did the puck go? Like you're gonna miss you're gonna miss a centering pass, you're gonna miss a goal, you're gonna miss a save, you're going to miss something. So you just if you have to get up, if you need to go use the restroom, you want to go buy your popcorn, your soda pops, your hot dogs, whatever, and you stay in your seat until until action stops. If a goalie freezes the puck, which is like if after they save a shot, they hold on to it, they like freeze the puck, and then it goes to a face off. When they're setting up for that face off, go to the aisle, go get your drinks. When like in between periods, anytime the action is stopped, you can get up, you can go get your stuff. If you come back and you're sitting at the top of the stairs and action is going, wait there. Don't walk down the steps. Don't go to your aisle and like don't go to your row and then wait there. You wait at the top of the steps, and then when action stops, hurry down to your row, get to your seat, sit down, stay there until you have to get up again. And when you have to get up again, wait until the action stops. Just basically don't be moving around up and down as long as if the puck is in play. That is the most important one. That's the one that'll get you yelled at by fans that know what they're doing and fans that have been to games before. They will yell at you to sit the hell down. And quite frankly, if you get up during play, you deserve it. So yeah, the only other one I have, actually, I have two. One of them is just pay attention to what's going on because this is an enjoyable game. You're going to have a lot of fun, but you don't want to be leaving in the back of a hearse because you took a puck to the forehead and it killed you, like your Happy Gilmore's dad. Pay attention to what's going on. And the other one is, I think Randon might disagree with me here. When your team is on the power play, don't just repeatedly yell, shoot the puck. Don't just yell, shoot, shoot. There you know what they're doing, and they see what's going on better than you do in the stands. They know what they're setting up. They know what the game plan is for how they're going to score against this team's penalty kill. They know what they want to get set up, and they know what they want to get. They know it better than you. They know when to shoot. They're not even going to hear you anyways. So stop yelling, shoot while your team's on the power play. Now you can go, Randon.
I love that. I love it so much because of how wrong you are. But I do want to say that you are so right on your first 2 points. So if you're if you're an usher, right? If you're an usher working at the Delta Center listening to this, do not be afraid to stop people in the portal. That is your job and your right. And if you are a jerk that gives the usher a problem for doing their job, then we don't really want you in the stadium. That is their job, to help the flow and help get people to and from their seats without distracting the other fans. There is a time and place when you to get up and go back to your seat. So let the ushers do their job. But even if there is not an usher, the absence of the usher does not mean the absence of that etiquette rule. Still wait. I know a lot of you who, if you've been to the Maverick Center, they have the curtains act like an usher. Just hang out there in the portal, right? You'll still be able to look, you'll still be able to watch the game. Just wait. Just wait till it stops your play to go to your seat. You're not going to miss anything, right? Not any more than you missed by leaving your seat during the game anyway. And then of course watching the puck. If you used to go to games years ago before the net, you know that the safety, it was the people who weren't paying attention that unfortunately got very hurt and in some cases lost their lives, that led to those nets, which can be for a lot of fans extremely distracting. Now luckily right now they're just on the ends, but if we aren't paying attention and you take a couple more to the dome, you're going to force that net all around the ice and it's going to suck. So don't be the fan that forces all other fans to watch behind nets because you weren't watching the puck. Watch the puck, guys. Try to catch it. Take it home. It's a souvenir. Once it's in the stands, it's yours to keep. You don't have to throw it back. Keep it.
And that goes doubly, triply, quadruply, like exponentially if you're there with your children. Because your children, they're not going to be like on edge watching everything that's going on. And you need to be watching the game and seeing if there's anything coming flying out of that rink to protect not just yourself, but your children. So if you bring kids to the, if you bring a kid to a hockey game at the Delta Center and I see you not paying attention to the game, I'll cold cock you on.
Mm-hmm.
Pay attention to the game if you've got, especially if you've got kids.
Mm-hmm. We'll heckle you. We'll heckle you. Uh, Excellent point. Because we want the kids. It's a family-friendly game. They say it's violent, but it's very exciting for the kids. There's a lot of excitement, a lot of noise, and a lot of things for them to look at, to watch. It's a very exciting game. Nobody can say what you will about hockey. It is anything but boring, right? Even during the downtime, it's exciting. And so you're gonna, if you listen and follow Dustin's advice on almost everything, you're gonna have a good time. However, you're not going to have a good time if you don't do your civic duty, and that is to tell the players to shoot the puck when they clearly have an opening. If they knew that they had an opening, and if they saw the opening, they'd take the shot. They obviously don't see it, and it's your job to tell them. You got to yell it. If you don't yell shoot, they won't know. And if they sit there for they only got 2 minutes on the power play. 2 minutes. If they're
They can
spending
have four. They can have five.
but usually only two, and if they're spending a minute 30 just passing it around, it's obvious that they
No,
didn't
no.
know that they could shoot. They
They
forgot,
can
and
have
we need to
three.
remind them.
They can have 3 minutes.
If they
If
score
one team
because they
gets
shot
five
it.
and another one gets a minor for two, then the team who got five is going to have three left over. They can have three.
They could. If you're not yelling shoot though from the stands, they're not going to know to shoot. Guys, yell it out. Yell it out. Yell it out liberally, and just I want to hear your loudest shoots.
I
Anytime.
I can't tell you how badly I want to. I want to see like a post match press conference during a game where a team goes like 0 for 8 on the power play. Like the other team just kept going to the box, and they just couldn't score on the power play. And somebody in the press conference goes, "Hey, why couldn't you score on the power play? Like you had 8 of them. You didn't net one." And I was like, the crowd never told us when to shoot. We didn't know what to do. We had them lined up, but nobody yelled shoot. I didn't know what to do.
Well, it's a fast-paced game, right? And when you're on the power play for that long, you may forget. They're humans. They can forget. So and we're trying to be helpful. We're trying to be helpful. So I appreciate it. I appreciate the fan interaction there. One thing that will inevitably happen, and I say this from firsthand experience because I was. If you listen to the first few episodes, I apologize to officials. I was a official abuser. I abused the heck out of officials, and I regret it. I regret it now. I said some very awful things to people who were doing a job and doing a job relatively well, but because it didn't serve my interest, because my team took a bad penalty, I would yell at the refs, and I very much hate it. And there's a time and a place for voicing your opinions about the officials, but let's not become the fan base that immediately starts yelling "ref, you suck" every single time we take a penalty. 90% of the penalties are accurately called. The team deserved it. So let's just not immediately resort to "ref, you suck" unless they really do suck. And then we can give it to them. But it's going to not happen very often, especially at the NFL or NHL level. The officials these are professionals who have been doing this for years. And just because you disagree with the call doesn't mean that the call is wrong. Right. And remember, attack their officiating ability, never their personhood, their humanness. I would always resort to personal attacks, and that was wrong of me. It's wrong of me as a person. And those officials, they've got families, maybe. They got kids, maybe. They got brothers and sisters, maybe. But they at least have parents that at one point in time were alive. And so we need to be cognizant of that. And we need to be empathetic that they are humans, just like us. They're not robots. And they don't lack feelings. Sometimes we hurt those feelings. So don't hurt the feelings of the official. But you can say boo, and especially speaking of face-offs, if they don't drop the puck forever, yell boo. Tell them to drop the puck. Voice your displeasure, because just like people on the power play don't remember to shoot, linesmen sometimes forget to drop the puck. And how are they going to know to drop the puck if we don't tell them? Just saying, guys. Just saying. Help people helping people. It's powerful stuff. It's powerful stuff. Dustin, I really like this info we've given the fans. What do you think? Do you have any closing thoughts? Anything you want to leave them
I,
for the road?
I was trying to come up with something, but like, this is what it's like to like podcast when you have ADHD. Like you're going on this like journey of self growth and introspection, and you're like, I used to be this way and it was wrong, and like, and at first I was like, hell yeah, man, we love a man who can like improve upon his faults and look back at his past and say that was wrong. We love self accountability. And like I was halfway through that thought, and then I look and like I look at the screen, I'm like, my forehead is shiny, man. And then I start like hovering my hand above, like I'm trying to block the light from this way. And oh no, it's not coming from there. I was coming from up top. And I'm just sitting here just like, oh,
I
block the
thought
light
you
from
were
my
raising your hand to talk. I thought that was you saying, I need to say something.
No, I'm just like I'm like a dog. It's just like, ooh, squirrel, ooh, plastic bag. Just like I caught a little glimpse of the forehead glimmer right here. Like if you're listening to this in audio form, like you can see it on YouTube, but I just start holding my arms above my head, and it was to kill that glare because my male pattern baldness creeping back right here was just shiny dome, and like I just put it at my head in the ballo shino. And so yeah, that's my closing thought. I have a shiny head and ADHD, so
You know what? We're gonna see that shining head more and more this season because we're gonna not just be with you once a week. Starting next Tuesday, we have our first post game episode, and we're gonna be with you all 82 games, guys. The preseason is almost over. The roster is about to take shape. We should know that final roster for game day next Tuesday. All you need to do is kick back, relax, and let the Two Line Podcast help you be in the know the entire season. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I hope you learned a little bit. If you have any thoughts, let us know on Twitter at the Two Line Pass. Drop us a comment in the YouTubes, or send us an email at the two line pass at gmail.com. But thanks, guys, so much for listening. And 1 week away from the puck drop. I'm excited. Dustin's excited. Ryan's excited as well, even though he's not here with us. But Dustin, thanks so much for educating the fans. And remember, fans, shoot the puck! You have yourselves a good night, everybody. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Two Line Pass podcast. Please follow us on Twitter at the Two Line Pass. You can follow Dustin at Highlights Ute. You can follow Randon at TLP Randon and Ryan at Carnes Ryan 0420. During the off-season, new episodes of the podcast drop every Wednesday with bonus episodes throughout. And during the season, we will have our weekly show plus game day episodes so you don't miss a minute of the action.